the Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives from 27 advanced species sat around the massive circular table, their diverse forms illuminated by the soft blue light from above. A holographic display rotated slowly in the center, showing a planet with swirling red and orange patterns covering its surface. Nexus 7 contains resources that could revolutionize our entire alliance, said the Tricidian representative, his crystalline body reflecting light across the chamber. The energy readings alone suggest power sources beyond our current technology. Captain June stood quietly at the back of the human delegation. He watched as species after species dismissed the discovery as impossible to access. The planet's radiation levels and toxic atmosphere had already destroyed 17 probes and 3 automated mining vessels. Perhaps we should classify it as unharvestable, suggested the Iridian ambassador, her voice translator giving a metallic edge to her words. No sentient could survive those conditions long enough to establish mining operations. June stepped forward before Ambassador Tay could respond. Though junior in the delegation, his background in hazardous environment operations made him uniquely qualified to speak. Humans can do it, he said simply. The chamber fell silent. Then, gradually, a wave of clicking, humming, and translator-assisted laughter rippled through the gathering. With respect, Captain, the Molosian representative said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, your species lacks the natural defenses required. You have no armor, no redundant organs, no radiation resistance. You are. He paused, searching for a diplomatic term, fragile. June nodded. True. And yet humans have worked in radiation zones since before we achieved spaceflight. We've mined in toxic environments, cleaned up our own nuclear disasters, and developed protective equipment specifically because of our fragility. Ambassador Tay shot him a warning glance. June had spoken out of turn, but he continued anyway. We've reviewed the probe data. The conditions on Nexus 7 are extreme but not beyond our experience. We can adapt our existing technologies to function there. The Keldari representative, whose species was known for their extreme durability, rose from her seat. Her exoskeleton clicked as she moved. You would send living beings to this death world? When machines fail within minutes? Machines follow programming, June replied. Humans solve problems as they arise. We improvise. The council buzzed with debate. June could see many representatives were offended by his suggestion. Humans were relatively new to the Alliance, and many species still viewed them as primitive despite their technological achievements. Ambassador Tay finally spoke, smoothing over June's breach of protocol. What my colleague suggests is that we would like to propose a human expedition to Nexus 7. A small team with specialized equipment. We believe we can succeed where automation has failed. The council leader, an ancient Vrexian whose translucent skin revealed the slow pulse of multiple hearts, leaned forward. And why would your government risk its people on such a mission? June met the alien's gaze. Because this is what humans do. We go where others cannot. 2 days later, June stood in the observation lounge of the human embassy, staring at the holographic model of Nexus 7. He zoomed in on the northern continent where initial scans had detected the richest resource deposits. You caused quite a stir in the council, said a voice behind him. June turned to find Director Han watching him. The director was older, with silver streaks in her black hair and eyes that had seen too many diplomatic crises. I apologize for speaking out of turn, June said. Han waved his concern away. The council has approved your proposal. They're calling it a human curiosity they're willing to indulge. June's heart raced. They approved it? With conditions. They want detailed plans, and they're sending observers. Most think it's a suicide mission. Han stepped closer to the hologram. Is it? No, June said firmly. I've studied the data. We can do this with the right team and equipment. Han nodded slowly. Then build your team, Captain. You have 3 weeks before the council expects results. As word spread through the human settlement, volunteers began contacting June engineers, scientists, and specialists in hazardous environments, all eager to prove what humans could accomplish. Dr. Sue, the settlement's chief medical officer, was the first to officially join. Every species has its strengths, she told June as she signed on. Ours is doing the impossible because we don't know any better. By week's end, June had selected 7 team members. As they gathered for their first briefing, he looked at their determined faces and felt a surge of pride. The Alliance thinks we'll fail, he told them. But humans have always done what others call impossible. We're going to that planet, and we're coming back with what we find. Because in all the galaxy, that's what makes us unique, not our strength, but our determination. The training facility hummed with activity as June's team prepared for their mission to Nexus 7. Located in the underground levels of the human settlement, the large chamber had been transformed into a simulation of the hostile planet's environment. The air was deliberately filled with harmless but visible orange gas, and the temperature fluctuated between extreme heat and cold. Again, June ordered as engineer Du climbed back into her radiation suit after its 4th modification. Du nodded, her face showing fatigue but determination. She sealed the helmet and entered the test chamber where the radiation levels had been set to match those on Nexus 7. The rest of the team watched through the observation window as instruments monitored her vital signs. 2 minutes and still stable, reported Medical Officer Sue, her eyes fixed on the readings. That's 40 seconds longer than our last attempt. Scientist Min adjusted the suit's cooling system remotely. The new shielding configuration is working better, but we're still getting radiation seepage around the joints. Du's voice came through the comms system. I can work with this. The mobility is good enough to handle the extraction equipment. June nodded. They had been working 18-hour days for 2 weeks, and progress was finally showing. The standard Alliance radiation suits had proven inadequate within minutes of testing, forcing the team to redesign almost everything from scratch. 5 minutes, announced Sue. That's our new record. The observation room door slid open, and Ambassador Tay entered accompanied by 3 alien representatives. The tall, slender Liran ambassador blinked his 4 eyes skeptically at the training setup. The council sent us to evaluate your progress, Tay explained to June. They remain concerned about your chances. The Viridian observer, whose metallic skin reflected the lights overhead, studied the team's equipment with obvious doubt. Our analysis suggests your biological systems will fail within 10 minutes of exposure to Nexus 7's environment, even with protection. June gestured to the test chamber where Du was now collecting simulated samples. We're already at 5 minutes of sustained operation, and improving daily. Impressive, admitted the third observer, a Tessian whose translator hummed as it converted their harmonic speech. But the planet's conditions are far worse than what you can simulate here. Technician Rin, the youngest member of the team, looked up from his workstation. That's why we're building redundancies into everything. Triple-sealed containers, backup power systems, and modular components that can be swapped out quickly. The aliens exchanged glances that June had learned to recognize as skepticism. May I show you something? June asked, leading them to a display showing Earth's historical images. This is Chernobyl, a nuclear disaster site from our history. These people are what we call liquidators, humans who entered radiation zones that killed many of them eventually. Yet they went in because they had to. He flipped to another image. Deep-sea divers working to repair underwater cables. Cave explorers mapping systems where one wrong move meant death. He turned to face the aliens. Humans have always gone into places that could kill us. We've learned to survive by preparation and determination. The Tessian observer made a sound that the translator didn't catch. Your species has a unique relationship with danger. Later that evening, as most of the team rested, June found Medical Officer Sue still working in the lab. She was reviewing cellular adaptation protocols, her eyes red from lack of sleep. You should rest, June said, placing a cup of tea beside her. Sue looked up, her tired face breaking into a small smile. I'm working on a new radiation medication. It won't prevent damage completely, but it might help our cells repair faster between exposures. June sat beside her. Do you think we can really do this? Sue was silent for a moment. The Alliance species think we're fragile because we lack their natural defenses. They don't understand that our entire evolution has been about compensating for our weaknesses. She brought up a display showing human cellular repair mechanisms. We don't have exoskeletons or multiple organs, so we developed these incredible repair systems instead. Our bodies are constantly fighting damage. June studied the display. Will it be enough? It has to be, Sue replied simply. We have 5 days until launch. The final preparation day arrived with a flurry of activity. The team loaded their specialized equipment onto the transport ship while Alliance observers monitored every detail. The custom-built radiation suits, now capable of sustaining life for 20 minutes in the simulated environment, were carefully checked and double-checked. Remember, June told his team as they gathered for a final briefing, we're not just going to prove we can survive there. We're going to show that humans can accomplish what no other species or machine could. Technician Rin held up a small metal emblem bearing Earth's image. One for each suit. A reminder of where we come from. As the team attached the emblems to their suits, Engineer Du looked around at her companions. The Alliance thinks this mission is about resources. But it's really about showing what humans can do. June nodded. Tomorrow, we show the galaxy why humans alone brave these tasks. Not because we're stronger, but because facing the impossible is what we've always done. The descent module shuddered violently as it entered Nexus 7's atmosphere. Inside, June and his 7 team members were strapped into impact chairs, their bodies already encased in the specialized radiation suits they had spent weeks perfecting. Atmospheric friction exceeding projected levels, reported Pilot Hoon, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Shield temperature rising to critical levels. Through the viewing port, the planet's surface came into view, a hellscape of jagged rock formations and swirling toxic clouds glowing with eerie orange and purple hues. Occasional lightning flashes illuminated vast wastelands below. Radiation levels are 40% higher than our scans indicated, Scientist Min announced, her voice steady despite the alarming reading. Adjusting suit parameters. The module continued its descent, buffeted by atmospheric currents that the simulations hadn't accurately predicted. When a particularly violent jolt threw the craft sideways, Medical Officer Sue was thrown against her restraints hard enough to bruise. Everyone stay calm, June ordered. Hoon, stabilize our approach. Trying, Captain, replied Hoon. The particulates in the atmosphere are interfering with the landing thrusters. The communications system crackled to life. Human expedition, this is Alliance observation vessel. Our readings show your craft is in danger of structural failure. Recommend immediate abort and return to orbit. June exchanged glances with his team. They had expected this, the first test of their resolve. Observation vessel, we are proceeding as planned, June replied firmly. We're experiencing turbulence but all systems remain functional. With a final bone-jarring impact, the module touched down on Nexus 7's surface. For a moment, everyone sat in silence, listening to the howl of toxic winds against the hull and the steady ping of radiation alerts. We made it, Engineer Du said, her voice barely above a whisper. First phase only, June reminded them. Suit up for surface deployment. The team performed final equipment checks. Their radiation suits, 3-layered with specialized shielding, were their only protection against an environment that could kill them in minutes of direct exposure. Remember, 20-minute maximum exposure periods, Medical Officer Sue instructed as she helped Technician Rin secure his helmet. Then rotate back to the module for recovery. June was the first to step through the airlock. As the outer door opened, he felt the immediate assault of Nexus 7's environment, gravity slightly stronger than Earth's, pulling at his limbs, and vibrations from the unstable ground transferring through his boots. Surface secured, he reported, stepping fully onto the alien soil. Beginning perimeter scan. One by one, the team emerged. They moved with practiced precision, deploying monitoring equipment and establishing a secure zone around their landing module. The alien landscape stretched before them, more terrible and beautiful than their simulations had prepared them for. First equipment check, Engineer Du called out. Radiation meters showing early degradation. Filter systems holding but under strain. June nodded inside his helmet. Expected. Proceed with initial survey. The team spread out in pairs, never moving beyond visual contact. Scientist Min collected soil samples while Technician Rin set up portable analysis equipment. Less than 15 minutes into their first surface excursion, they made their first discovery. "Captain, you need to see this," called geologist Yun, her voice tense with excitement. 200 meters east of the module. June and Medical Officer Su made their way carefully across the unstable terrain to where Yun stood before what appeared to be a geometrically perfect arch half buried in the soil. "Is that?" Su began. "Artificial," confirmed Yun. "This wasn't formed naturally." June ran his gloved hand across the smooth surface. "Something built this." "The readings are off the scale," Yun said, checking her instruments. "This material isn't just radiation resistant, it's actually absorbing it." Their discovery was interrupted by an urgent call from the module. "Captain, we have a problem," reported Engineer Du. "The atmospheric composition is reacting with our exterior seals faster than projected. Primary equipment failing at accelerated rates." Then came a shout from Technician Rin. "Look out!" A section of ground near their position suddenly collapsed, creating a sinkhole that almost swallowed Scientist Min. She was saved only by June's quick reaction, grabbing her arm as she started to fall. "Everyone back to the module," June ordered. "Now!" As they retreated, a tremor shook the ground, knocking Medical Officer Su to her knees. The impact cracked her helmet's outer layer. "My suit integrity is compromised," she reported calmly, despite the danger. "Radiation exposure beginning." June and Technician Rin practically carried her back to the module. Once inside, they rushed her to the decontamination chamber. "Status report," June demanded once everyone was secured inside. "Surface conditions are far worse than anticipated," Engineer Du reported. "Equipment degradation at 200% of projected rates. The module's exterior shielding won't last more than 3 days. And we've found evidence of previous intelligent life," added geologist Yun. "This changes everything." June looked at his team's faces, tired but determined. "We need to adapt. Quickly. The Alliance is watching, expecting us to fail and retreat." "What do we do?" asked Pilot Hoon. "We go deeper," June decided. "Those ruins might offer protection from the surface conditions. If something lived here before, they found a way to survive." Outside, the toxic winds increased in intensity, as if the planet itself was trying to drive them away. The ancient tunnel stretched before them, its wall smooth and unlike any natural formation. June led the way, his helmet light casting long shadows as the team descended deeper beneath Nexus 7's hostile surface. Behind him, 5 team members followed in single file, their radiation suits modified with patches and additional shielding assembled from their landing module's spare parts. "Radiation levels dropping the deeper we go," reported Scientist Min, studying her handheld scanner. "Down 30% from surface readings." Medical Officer Su remained in the makeshift base camp they had established near the tunnel entrance, treating her radiation exposure and monitoring their communications. Engineer Du had stayed behind as well, working to salvage equipment damaged during their first disastrous surface exploration. "These tunnels must be thousands of years old," geologist Yun said, running her gloved hand along the wall. "Yet they show no signs of collapse. The material is some kind of crystalline composite I've never seen before." The team had discovered the tunnel network on their third surface excursion, after following the strange arch-like structures to what appeared to be an entrance to an underground complex. With their landing module rapidly deteriorating in the hostile environment, the decision to explore below had been unanimous. "Hold up," June said suddenly, raising his hand. The tunnel ahead opened into a vast chamber, so large their helmet lights couldn't reach the ceiling or far walls. "Incredible," breathed Technician Rin as they entered the space. The chamber floor was covered with what appeared to be abandoned machinery and crystalline structures arranged in patterns. "This was some kind of facility," geologist Yun said, her voice filled with wonder. "These constructions match the energy signature patterns we detected from orbit." June activated his comm link. Are you receiving our feed? Crystal clear, came Engineer Du's voice. The Alliance observation vessel is also receiving. Their scientists are apparently in an uproar over what you're seeing. Scientist Min moved carefully toward a central raised platform where a pulsating blue light emanated from a crystalline object the size of a human head. Captain, I think this is it, the energy source we came for. June approached the object cautiously. Readings? It's putting out more power than our entire settlement uses in a month, Min replied, checking her instruments. And it appears to be self-sustaining. As the team began documenting their discovery, a deep rumble shook the chamber. Dust and small fragments of rock showered down from above. Seismic activity increasing, warned geologist Yun, studying her scanner. This whole system is unstable. We need to collect samples and data quickly, June decided. Rin, set up the collection equipment. Min, start comprehensive scans of that energy source. They worked with practiced efficiency, fighting against time as tremors continued to shake the underground facility. Through their comm links, they could hear the growing concern in Sue's voice as she monitored the situation from base camp. The seismic activity is creating surface ruptures, she reported. Alliance vessels are detecting magma movement beneath your position. June helped Rin secure a sample container around a fragment of the crystal technology. How long do we have? Minutes, maybe, came Engineer Du's tense reply. You need to evacuate now. As if to emphasize her warning, a violent tremor shook the chamber. A support column cracked, sending chunks of material crashing down near Min's position. Everyone, fall back to the tunnel. June ordered. They had just gathered their essential equipment when the largest quake yet struck. The chamber floor split open between June, Rin, and Yun on one side and Min on the other, who was still beside the energy crystal. Min! June shouted, watching in horror as the gap widened to several meters. I can make it! Min called back, backing up for a running jump. No! June ordered. Too dangerous. His mind raced through alternatives. Is there another tunnel exit from your side? Min quickly scanned the chamber. Yes, there appears to be a passage about 20 meters to my right. Take it, June decided. We'll head back to base camp and track your position. Find your way to the surface, and we'll reunite there. As Min disappeared into the side passage with her portion of the samples, June led the others back through their original tunnel. The tremors increased in frequency, sending more debris raining down on them. The planet is entering some kind of seismic event cycle, geologist Yun explained as they hurried along. The energy source we found might have been keeping it stable. When they emerged near their base camp, they found Engineer Du frantically working to secure their equipment as the ground shifted beneath the module. Where's Min? Sue asked, looking past them. Taking another route, June replied, helping to load their precious samples. We need to track her position, Anne. His words were cut off by a deafening roar as the ground 100 meters away erupted in a geyser of toxic gas and debris. Through the clearing dust, they spotted a figure in a radiation suit stumbling toward them. Min! Technician Rin shouted, rushing forward to help his colleague. Min collapsed into his arms, her suit damaged but intact, still clutching her sample container. Got it, she gasped. Complete energy crystal sample. As they loaded Min into the module, June received an unexpected communication from the Alliance observation vessel. Human expedition, came the Liran commander's voice, all previous skepticism gone, our sensors indicate catastrophic planetary activity beginning. You have 30 minutes before total surface destabilization. Can you launch? June looked at his team exhausted, injured, but triumphant. We're launching now, he replied. Mission accomplished. As their module broke free of Nexus 7's turbulent atmosphere, June watched the planet's surface beginning to break apart through volcanic activity. They had escaped just in time, carrying with them discoveries that would change everything. The medical bay of the Alliance station hummed with activity as doctors of various species moved between the beds where June's team recovered. 2 weeks had passed since their dramatic escape from Nexus 7, yet they remained under close observation. The radiation exposure they had endured required ongoing treatment, though remarkably, all 8 team members were expected to make full recoveries. June sat up in his bed as Ambassador Tay entered, accompanied by 3 high-ranking Alliance officials. Their postures, even among species with vastly different physiologies, conveyed a newfound respect. Captain June, the Vrection Council leader, greeted him. "Your team has accomplished what the Alliance considered impossible." June nodded, still feeling the weakness in his muscles from the radiation treatments. "We did what humans have always done. We adapted." "Indeed." The Liran science director stepped forward, placing a data crystal on June's bedside table. "The energy source you recovered has already revolutionized our understanding of power generation. Initial tests suggest it can produce clean energy indefinitely." Medical Officer Sue, in the next bed, smiled weakly. "And the cellular repair techniques your doctors developed to treat us?" The Tessian medical coordinator made a harmonious sound of acknowledgement. "Your human bodies have shown remarkable resilience. The way your cells repair radiation damage is unlike anything we've documented in other species. We've already begun developing new medical protocols based on your recovery patterns." Ambassador Tay couldn't hide her pride. "The Council has unanimously voted to establish a permanent research station in Nexus 7's orbit. And they've requested human leadership for the project." June glanced around at his team members, who were listening intently despite their fatigue. "Because we alone could survive there?" "Because you understand something the rest of us had forgotten," the Council leader replied. "The value of facing impossible challenges, not despite your vulnerability, but because of it." After the officials departed, Engineer Du wheeled herself to June's bedside. Her legs were still healing from injuries sustained during their escape. "Did you hear? They want to name the new station after Earth," she said, her face bright with excitement despite the medical apparatus still attached to her body. June smiled. "Fitting. But the real legacy isn't the station or even the energy source we found. It's what we proved about humans," Scientist Min added from across the room, where doctors were checking her recovery progress. In the months that followed, the impact of their mission rippled through Alliance society. June watched with quiet satisfaction as joint human-alien teams formed for missions previously considered too dangerous for living beings. Their protective gear designs were adopted as standard protocol for hazardous environments. Even their problem-solving methodologies were being studied and implemented across various Alliance projects. 6 months after their return, June stood before a graduating class of the newly established Extreme Environment Training Academy. The auditorium held students from 12 different species, the first time in Alliance history that so many had sought to learn human approaches to survival. "You've come here because you saw 8 humans do what your societies deemed impossible," June began. "But what we did on Nexus 7 wasn't extraordinary, not for us. Throughout human history, we've entered burning buildings to save strangers. We've dived into freezing waters. We've climbed mountains without knowing if we would return." He activated a holographic display showing images from their mission, including the ancient alien facility they had discovered. The civilization that once inhabited Nexus 7 had technology far beyond our own. Yet they perished when their world turned against them. They had advanced machines but lacked what humans have always possessed, the will to face the unsurvivable and find a way through. A young Keldari student raised her hand. "Is it true your cellular structure was permanently altered by the radiation?" June nodded. Medical Officer Seuss' research confirmed it. "Our exposure triggered accelerated healing mechanisms we didn't know existed in human physiology. We're still studying the implications." After the lecture, June met with Ambassador Tay in the observation dome overlooking the Alliance shipyards. A new class of exploration vessels was under construction, smaller, more adaptable craft designed with human survival principles in mind. "The Council has approved 7 new joint missions to previously inaccessible planets," Tay informed him. "Each will be led by humans with mixed-species crews." June watched as workers installed a plaque on the lead ship. It bore a simple Earth emblem with words in multiple Alliance languages, in honor of those who braved the impossible. "Did you ever think one mission would change so much?" Tay asked. June thought about his team members, now scattered across the Alliance, training others in human survival techniques. He thought about the energy technology they had recovered, already bringing power to worlds that had known only scarcity. We didn't just show them what humans can do, he replied. We showed them what they could do if they embraced our approach. As twilight spread across the station, casting long shadows through the observation dome, June reflected on their legacy. Not just the technological breakthroughs or the scientific discoveries, but something more profound, a shift in how the galaxy's civilizations viewed challenge and danger. In the vast expanse of space, with all its wonders and terrors, humans alone had braved this task. And in doing so, they had taught the stars how to be brave too.